Welcome to Racing to Win. Sha Tin coming up this Saturday afternoon with a 10-race program, and we've got it covered for you all right here on the program. And pleased to say, joined in the studio to take an even closer look at the races, it is Paul Lally and also Nick Child. And Nick, for a Saturday afternoon, there's some really promising horses going around at this meeting, isn't there?
Yeah, there certainly is, Mark, and a couple of impressive last start winners as well. Golden Express comes up earlier on in the programme, and towards the latter part, Victor the winner was very impressive as well. And the common denominator there is that a certain Zach Purton rides them both.
He's got a great book of rides, Paul, but are there any jackpots also?
No jackpots going into Saturday's meetings, but there's generally a couple coming out of Saturday meetings because we sometimes get some strange results there. Looking forward to Golden Bull running as well. I think he's just about ready to win. He's been a little bit just about a gunner at this stage, isn't he, with those seconds in his last couple.
Got a gear change as well, and looks a very winnable race, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, it definitely does.
All right, so that's the thought from the boys. We'll break a couple of races down for you even further in just a moment, but the meeting details, they look like this for Sha Tin. It is meeting 62. We're all on the turf, and it is the C course. Racing gets underway at 1 o'clock with the Class 5 over 1400. The two races that we preview, the Hong Kong Jockey Club Community Trophy, the Class 3 at 2:30, and race number 9, the Nurturing Talent 1200 Class 2 is the other race. The fourth, though, is the first 2:30 a start time for this one. We've got Golden Express, a last start winner at the top of the book, carries an extra £9. O-Liner comes here, having won over the 1200 at Randwick, 1250 Canterbury and 1400 at Newcastle in New South Wales. Nakoni County goes up in trip. Naboo Legend has blinkers for the first time. Euro Rocks, he ran second on debut and has had a trial since. Desert Star, he was a 3-length winner at Moe in Victoria on debut, also ran second over the 1400 metres at Flemington. Beato has the blinkers going on. Pulsar Strider has the blinkers going off, and Golden Link's a 3-time winner, but they've all been over 1400 metres, so he has to try and do that over the 1200 metres in this race. Nick, and who shows the most toe?
Well, we'll take a look at it now, Mark. Naboo Legend is a horse who did show plenty of speed last time. He's drawn gate number 3, so expect him to go forward. Matthew Poon on board as well, claiming a couple blinkers going on, so there's a bit of intent there, I think, with a possible lead scenario. Naboo Legend, Pulsar Strider and Valiant Elegance, two horses that I don't think will be far away. The latter has drawn gate number 1, and the newcomer O-Liner is quite an interesting runner. He's drawn gate number 8, but he might just also try and press forward and get into a good spot, Paul.
Yeah, he'd been racing forward when he raced in Australia under the name O President. Tongue tie goes on, and his trials he's been forward as well, but just a little bit of a tricky draw. Now, Pulsar Strider led last start because blinkers went on him, but the blinkers come off now. So I think, and he sort of faded out a little bit last time. So I think obviously it didn't work, the blinkers, so they've taken them off, and he might just try and take a sit as well. Golden Express, who's the likely favourite, should get a perfect run.
And that is a perfect way to launch into our interview from the speed map to Golden Express rider with Nick. It is Zach Purton.
Zach, Golden Express, very impressive last time out. We're going to see him back at the races on Saturday. A bit more weight to carry, etc., but certainly justified, I think, given the manner of the win.
Yeah, he certainly showed early on that he had some ability, and then it was just a matter of trying to work out what distance suited him best and possibly the best way to ride him as well. And he's got a bit of a high cruising speed. He can get on the bit a little bit, so in some of the races when they backed it off, he did a little bit too much and then wasn't quite as effective, and he drew a couple of average gates as well, which didn't help. But last time he finally got into a race where he just had the right gate, the right run, the right tempo, and he was obviously impressive. But he's a horse that I'd prefer to have a genuinely run race with to help him, so hopefully we can get that again.
There's a little bit of speed in the race, might well help you, of course. Recent trial for him, that was on a rain-affected all-weather, obviously certainly not knocked around. Be happy with the way he came through the trial? He
always trials well. Yeah. He's a beautiful mover. He covers a lot of ground, and I thought his trial was good. You're drawn in gate number 6. How does that complicate things in any way, or is that a good place to be? I haven't actually had a good look at the race yet, so I'm not quite sure, but hopefully he can break cleanly. He can be a little bit grubby out the gates at times, but if he can break cleanly and get himself into a nice spot, then it's going to help us. You've ridden one of the opposition, O-Liner, in some trials, a newcomer, I guess. Would you sort of rank him as a bit of a danger, perhaps? He's a chance. He might be improved with the run, but he's certainly got some ability, and he's going to acquit himself well.
That is Zach Purton, the rider of Golden Express, with a bit of a tidbit too about O-Liner. We have a look now, Nick, at the graphic of a Golden Express. Just the 4 starts, and he's gone 2, 3, 5, a scratching, and then that very comfortable win last time.
Yeah, it was very comfortable, wasn't it? And look, the handicap's had his say. He's put him up £9, but he wasn't extended. He won in the manner of a horse who clearly has a bit more perhaps to offer. And I think that looks the case, Paul. He's a progressive horse from the right stable.
Yeah, look, he's going very well. They've obviously going to keep him at 1200 because that's the one that worked. And he did win over 1200 at Doomben before he got here as well. So at this stage, that looks the right trip for him.
A lot of ticks for a Golden Express. Of the opposition though, Paul, we've got Euro Rocks, whose debut was quite impressive. He didn't quite get the job done, but he did bump into a smart one in Supreme Lucky.
He did, didn't he? So look, this form looks quite good coming out of this race. I'm going to include Euro Rocks. I've actually made him the Quinella horse. He's drawn 9, but I think he can settle just in behind the pace. And if he gets that little bit of cover, which I think he'll get, I think he'll make his presence felt.
Yeah, that horse running on down the outside, White Sleeves' Brave Dreams. He's won since, and the horse in the navy and white just knocking up a little bit close to line. That's Magniac, who went close earlier on this week at Happy Valley. So that form's certainly worth something.
That sounds really good for Euro Rocks. If you think there is a chance of beating the favourite, it could be him. Victory Moments. Nicky had his first 2 starts over 1,000. Over the 1,200 metres, he looked to appreciate that jump up in trip.
He did. Now, my one issue with this horse is that he's inclined to get his head up a little bit. You can see it there quite evidently right in the face of the rider there, Matthew Chadwick, who rides him for the second time. And I think that might be down to the fact that he's been registered as a roarer 2 starts ago. So there might be 1 or 2 little underlining issues there. But to his credit, Paul, he did run well this day.
He did. Look, I'm going to include him in a minor line, but I'm with you, Nick. You know, when these horses are declared roarers, you just have to put a little asterisk next to them.
Okay, that is Victory Moments. We move on, Paul, now to some Happy Valley form. This is the race you spoke of in the speed map where Pulsar Strider led. He won his best race when he was in behind the leader and got nabbed late by Solar Winds.
Yeah, so that's why I don't think he'll lead this race. I think Naboo Legend will lead when the blinkers go on him. You can see the blinkers obviously didn't work. They fired him up a little bit too much, I think, and he faded late. Now, he was well beaten, but with the blinkers off, that might help him.
Yeah, look, I agree. I think the blinkers coming off is probably a good thing. They had a go and maybe they didn't work for him. But on the balance of his form prior to that, it's actually not the worst.
Bit of a tick for Pulsar Strider with the blinkers coming back off. Here is the newcomer, Nick O'Liner. He had a total overseas of 11 starts, winning 3 of them.
He did, yeah. Not a bad CV coming over to Hong Kong, this horse. He's got the tongue tie on for this run. All 3 of his trials, Zach Purton has ridden him in his trials. So when obviously posing the question to Zach about this horse, he certainly, I thought, spoke highly enough of the horse and has been impressed with what he's been able to do. So he's a Group 2 winning 2-year-old, this fellow, Paul, so he's clearly talented.
Yeah, I just wonder if he's totally wound up for this race. He's had the 3 trials. He's 1180 pounds. I just don't like him from the draw. That's what put me off, because I think there's a bit of pace underneath him and he does like to go forward.
More trials now, Paul, with Naboo Legend. Has that gear change, the blinkers going on. He runs a second in this trial behind Sure Winner, who's a far lower rated horse than what he is.
I've included him on a very minor line, just with those blinkers on from a low draw, and he's likely to lead. So he disappointing last time, but prior to that, his form, it hadn't been too bad.
No, it hadn't been. Matthew Poon for David Hayes, 0 from 14 this season. So the booking's probably a little bit off-putting, no detriment, of course, to Matthew. And look, the good draw, the blinkers, there's a bit happening there. And on the pick of his form, you could give him an each-way chance.
That is Naboo Legend. Finally, Nick, we head to the Happy Valley Trials. This is Desert Star, another newcomer to Hong Kong for David Hayes. He's had the 4 trials and run 3rd in all of them. Yeah,
he's a son of the all-conquering Deep Field, so we know how well they go, and this horse clearly does go well because he managed to win on debut at Moe and then backed it up with a good run at Flemington. I didn't mind this trial, Paul. He's rallied late and he's hit the line strong.
Yeah, he pushed out a little bit, but as you say, he responded and he was in front a couple of 50 metres or so outside after the line. 3 trials to get him ready, 1,084. I didn't quite include him. I'm happy to watch him.
We've seen plenty of replays, Paul. Who are we going with in race number 4?
I thought the favourite, Golden Express, or the likely favourite in the race, was very impressive on his last start, so I'm going to stick with him. Euro Rocks, really good debut here in Hong Kong. Victory Moments, look, we've talked about his problems roaring and whatnot, but he did step up to 1,200 and ran really well at his last start. Naboo Legend with the blinkers on should be a bit of a price. 1, 6, 7 and 4.
Got the same top 3 numbers as Paul here. They do look the obvious ones, I think, on paper. The top weight Golden Express is the most likely for mine. And look, he's probably going to be quite short, but I think he will win the race, and he did win with plenty in hand last time. Euro Rocks in per second can build on that debut here in Hong Kong. Victory Moments, I have my reservations with him, but he did run better last time, and I put O-Liner in. He's a big price, might not be on debut, but he's certainly done enough to suggest he warrants a bit of support. 1, 6, 7, 2.
All of the information you need for race number 4. We're going to take a break here on Racing to Win. On the other side of this, it's a hot race to preview. It's race number 9, headed up by Victor the Winner. It is so close, FWD Champions Day, and you can hear more about it. The selected runners have been announced, and Nick spoke to Greg Carpenter, head of racing product, about those runners that will line up at Sha Tin on the 30th of April for a Champions Day. That's in Hong Kong Direct, hkjc.com. Click on audio and video. But we need to focus on race number 9 now, and we've got a Class 2 over the 1200 metres, and in this race, at the top of the book is Nervous Witness. He's been back to the trial since finishing down the track after a tough run on the all-weather last time. Trillion wins a 3-time course and distance winner. Paul Kaying Master's been Aurora his last 2. Victor the Winner carries an extra 8 pounds and bolted up last time, winning Dreamers a 5-time course and distance winner. Carroll Street blinkers off, the shadow roll goes on. A better draw for Oriental Spoke. Goko Windus found some form at his last 2, and How Deep Is Your Love comes up in grade on the back of those back-to-back victories at Happy Valley over the 1200 metres, but strikes a really good field to do it in, of which, Nick, there is plenty of speed, but only good because Nervous Witness likes to go forward, but he's not the only one.
Yeah, absolutely not. And, you know, sort of, it's a case of blink and you'll miss this one because they will go very quick. Nervous Witness, of course, we know loves to lead. He's only really got the one way of going and he's drawn well in 3. So the big weight might have a part to play, but he's more than likely to lead this. Victor the Winner, we know, does like to go forward. So obviously Zach will have decisions to make with him, obviously, if letting Nervous Witness go. Adios can show plenty of pace. How Deep Is Your Love is another horse who has been a little bit dominant around Happy Valley. Last time out, very close to the pace before winning impressively. So, yeah, look, plenty of pace on in this one, Paul.
There is, isn't there? But look, with Zach Purden on Victor the Winner, I don't think he's going to get into a speed battle. The horse I fear a bit's Adios because he's got all his pace, and with Victor the Winner and Nervous Witness inside him, he just could be in for a really tough run. Carroll Street and Tornado Phantom at the back, they're going to get the race run to suit for sure.
All right. Do we think it could be more good to fast, or are you happy with good at this stage?
Well, look, if there was a apprentice or someone on Victor the Winner, I would say good to fast. But with a senior jockey on, they won't want to get into a speed battle. All
right, so that is the speed map from Paul. But here is the likely favourite in the race as rider. It is Zach Purden.
Zach, Victor the Winner was mightily impressive last time. He's one of a number of good rides for you on Saturday. You must have been extremely taken by the performance.
Yeah, so he drew a good gate and he had a light weight on his back. But he was softened up a little bit through the early to mid stages of the race and then did a good job, I thought, to kick strongly in the straight and get the job done. We're faced with a new scenario with him here because obviously Nervous Witness is quite quick and he's drawn underneath us. And Victor the Winner's done all his winning in front on the fence, so he's obviously going to have to sit outside the leader and be able to handle that. Obviously he's on a little bit of a quicker backup. Danny has been vocal in saying that the horse is better when he can space his runs, but it was either running this race or we had to wait a long time for the next one. And you know, we're rolling the dice with him, and so we've got the quick backup and a racing style that hasn't been successful for him previously to contend with. We'll see how he goes.
Obviously, you've only ridden him just the once. Danny would obviously have that bit more experience with the horse, of course, having trained him throughout. Is he sort of the opinion now that maybe as he's gaining experience, as he's getting older, he might be able to take that quicker run, do you think?
Possibly, but we're going to find out, aren't we? So this is the test for him, and he'll show us.
When a horse can do that, Zach, off the front and give a good kick, obviously circumstance will play its part always, but that must be a very impressive trait for any horse to be able to do that. Obviously, it's never easy, I suppose.
It's not. You burn the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
Obviously, you take your position and then you've got to fight for it in the straight. So it's not easy, but that's his racing style and that's what's worked so far.
His form's pretty good. I mean, just looking at it on paper, of course, a horse that you know well, Packing Treadmill, was one he beat last time. He's beaten Golden Express a few starts back. You ride him on the weekend as well. So as far as the form book's concerned, his form's right there with the best of them.
Yeah, and he's done it in good fashion when he's won as well. So he's certainly progressive, and hopefully we can get the job done here again and try and get him into a group race towards the end of the season.
Do you think he's of that quality? I mean, the fact he goes up the ratings with every success is going to dictate where he goes, but do you think he has a group horse in the making?
Oh, I think he showed last time. He got softened up and he ran good time, but he did it with no weight on his back. It's different when they have a little bit more weight on their back. So we'll start to see where he's at, from this weekend. But he's certainly trending the right way. He's a lightly raced horse that's doing a good job, and I think he's telling us that he's not fully developed in the fact that he needs to space his runs. So once he matures a little bit more, there's no reason why he can't take his place.
And we go from Zach Nick straight to Victor, the winner's graphic, and it's impressive reading.
It is indeed, yes. And look, those couple of occasions he has been beaten. There was that time he got beat sort of 3.5 lengths and he ran 7th. And when he was beaten there, I think on his second start as well, Paul. But look, he's been very good since, and they've put him up a fair bit, and I think justified.
Yeah, definitely. I think Zach would be happy if Nervous Witness wasn't in the race, listening to that. Yeah, that one of those defeats. Remember, he missed the start and he got hunted all the way up, and then it just sort of faded a little bit as well. So, look, he's definitely a progressive horse.
All right, he's had McDonald and Purton on at his last 2 starts. Zach rides again this week. We head to some all-weather form now, and here is Adios. There he is in those yellow colours. He wins. Goko wins, certainly getting better as a racehorse here in Hong Kong. Toronado Phantom's going to get back, as we saw on the speed map. Kaying Masters had some internal issues at his last 2. And Nervous Witness, Paul, he just had to do too much work from the wide draw. There was plenty of pace on. He drew wide and just couldn't get across.
Yeah, and he's come out of this trial and out of this race and had to have a trial as well. And that was on the slop in the morning there a few mornings ago. But look, Adios, he won this race really nicely. But I don't like him at Sha Tin with all his pace underneath him. That worries me a lot.
Yeah, look, he's drawn wide. They're going to go pretty quick underneath him, as you say, and he might get caught out on the wing there a bit. But Goko Win, I thought, was very good here, running him down close to the line, and he's a nice horse, the runner-up.
He is. He's won on the turf 2 starts ago also. Now, this is an interesting runner, Nick. How Deep Is Your Love is his name. He's raced exclusively over at Happy Valley and done a really good job. What about him handling Sha Tin and his Happy Valley form compared to the runners in this race?
It needs to go to a slightly higher level, I think it's fair to say. Look, he is up in grade. They put him up 11 pounds. He'll carry 9 less, given that he is going up in grade. But he's been dominant around the valley. I personally see no reason why he can't operate around Sha Tin. He has had a trial on the all-weather recently, and that was behind O-Liner. But he's a very nice horse. And
here is the trial, Paul, of How Deep Is Your Love, as we've seen him run at Happy Valley. What did you make of the trial?
You've been practising that all morning, haven't you? Look, it was a nice enough trial. This horse has never trialled on the Sha Tin turf. All his trials have been on the all-weather. And you can see him coming down the outside, doing it nice enough. But as Nick said, there's no reason whatsoever that he won't handle the turf. He's a nice progressive horse, and he's drawn well. He's going to get himself into a good position.
Yeah, look, I think you don't know until you try, right? And, he's obviously very progressive. He's a big, strong, substantial type of horse. And I'm sure he'll be holding his own against these better horses.
Karis Teaton has a really good record on him. Nick, what about some of his other rides also?
Yeah, look, he's got a newcomer there in race 2. That's Sunlight Power. Obviously interesting to see what he can do on debut. Give Way Please, the Class 5 horse. Packing Hurricanes down in grade. I thought Red Hair King was a chance there in the 5th. He can certainly improve off his debut. An old friend of his there, Paul, is Happy Daily.
Yeah, Happy Daily will have to get back from his wide draw. I think he's going to have a good day, Karis.
Okay. And the selections, Paul, for the running of a really good field.
Yeah, I think Victor, the winner, can win. he can sit outside the leader. Or if Adios takes him on, he can get into the trail. I think he's a good chance in this. How Deep Is Your Love will get a nice run. Goko wins progressive, and Trillium Win, I think he can run well if they just ride him a little bit quieter. 5, 11, 10 and 2.
Yeah, I've also gone with Victor. Hopefully he will be a winner once again. He's clearly a nice horse, and I'm sure he can add a bit more to his CV already. How Deep Is Your Love in for second. Goko Win, I think, will run his race. And I've thrown Nervous Witness in as well. Hopefully get a better run this time around. 5, 11, 10, 1.
And that is the preview for race number 9. We need some selections though, Paul, for some of the other races on the program. We've got a 10-race card.
We have. I think Sha Tin can win the first 3 races. I like him on General Winner. Also like him on the first starter. Sunlight Power, he should be a bit of a price. And also Give Way Please should get a nice run from his draw. Golden Express we talked about. Red Hair King was a little bit wayward on debut, but there's plenty of ability there with him. Dragon Delight up to 1800 looks ideal for him. Golden Bull's ready to win. Hyper Dragon Ball, he won't be far away from his draw. And I've liked Sinba in the last.
And you can find all of those races broken down race by race on the website hkjc.com. Click on audio and video, but you won't need to click to find out Paul's best bet.
No, because it's Dragon Delight coming up in race 6, up to 1800 for the first time. Always looked like he needed a bit of ground, this horse. With Zach Burton aboard, I think he can win race number 6. Going to go with the first starter as the long shot here. Sunlight Power, his trials have been good, especially his last one. And Ricky Yu can really get a first starter to win. Sha Tin's aboard. We'll do the play in one of the races we previewed. Race 4, the QQP, Golden Express, Euro Rocks and Victory Moments.
Yeah, best bet for me on Saturday afternoon comes up in the last race, 10 number 13, Universal Horizon, going up in trip. He's bred to get further, and I think the mile will suit him down to the ground. So Universal Horizon is the best. The long shot, race 5, number 10, Red Hair King. Certainly agree with Paul on him. I think he's a serious chance of improving off his debut in the play. Race 9, we're going a quartet, 5, 11, 10 and 1.
Best bet's another Dragon, Hyper Dragon Ball with Zach Burton on board for Beno Jung. 4 starts for 1 placing. He's been unlucky once or twice too. He's just got better and better with racing and gets a good draw of 1. As does Regency Master, who's 1 course and distance. He's getting on a bit in age now. He's actually racing all right. So Danny Chum trains, Matthew Poon takes the ride. We'll go a forecast in race number 8 as the play 9 Hyper Dragon Ball and 1 Majestic Colour. But that has been racing to win for Saturday at Sha Tin, Nick, and then we're back to the Valley on Wednesday nights.
We are indeed, and FWD Champions Day is getting closer as well, so can't wait for that.
Yeah, that's going to be a fantastic race meeting coming up at the end of the month, so that should be very good.
What about some of the names that have been assembled from overseas to take on the locals?
Oh, some of the very best, and can't wait to see them here, Mark.
Dubai Honour 2, a take on Romantic Warrior is just one of the clashes, and Golden 60 will look for another champion's mile. But that has been racing to win Saturday at Sha Tin. We'll see you for the first 1 o'clock.